Good day everyone, I'm MARENV Jr. and this is protection of the marine environment, ADP code 52651. So I'm going to discuss all about marine environment and marine pollution and MARPOL Convention and the MARPOL annexes. So first, what is marine environment? So marine environment is habitats that support marine life. Marine life depends in some way on the salt water that is in the sea. Habitat is an ecological or environmental area inhabited by one or more living species. The marine environment supports many kinds of these habitats. Next is, what are the major sources of marine pollution and its impact, hazard to human, animals, and shipping industry? So marine pollution occurs when harmful effects result from the entry into the ocean of chemicals, particles, industrial, agricultural, and residential waste, noise, or the spread of invasive organisms. 80% of marine pollution comes from land, and air pollution is also contributing factor by carrying of pesticides or dirt into the ocean. Land and air pollution have proven to be harmful to marine life and their habitats. The next is, the oil spill is dangerous to marine life in several ways. The oil spill in the ocean could get on the gills and feathers of marine animals, which make it difficult for them to move or swim properly, or feed their children. The long-term effect of marine life can include cancer, failure in the reproductive system, behavioral changes, and even deaths. Most of the debris in the ocean does not decompose and remain in the ocean for years. It uses oxygen as it degrades. As a result of these, oxygen levels go down. When ocean levels go down, the changes of survival of marine animals like whales, turtles, sharks, dolphins, penguins for a long time also goes down. So next is the industrial and agricultural waste. Include various poisonous chemicals that are considered hazardous for marine life. Chemicals from pesticides can accumulate in the fatty tissues of animals, leading to failure in their reproductive system. Chemicals is used in industries and agriculture, get waste into the rivers and from the carried into the ocean. These chemicals do not get dissolved and sink at the bottom of the ocean. Small animals ingest these chemicals and are later eaten by large animals, which then affect the whole food chain. Next is Marpol Convention history. When it is adopted, entered into force, and its objectives, including all the regulation of Marpol Annexes 1 to 6. So the Marpol Convention was adopted on November 2, 1973 at IMO. The Protocol of 1978 was adopted in response to a spate of tanker accidents in 1976 to 1977. As the 1973 Marpol Convention had not yet entered into force, the 1978 Marpol Protocol absorbed the parent convention. And history. The The image result for explain Marpol Convention history when it is adopted is entered into force and its objectives, including all the regulation of Marpol Annexes 1 to 6. The main objective of what is known as the Marpol 73 to 78 agreement in force at present is to achieve the complete elimination of intentional marine environment pollution by hydrocarbons and other harmful substances, and to reduce the accidental discharging of such substances. And next is the annexes. Annex 1 Oil come into force on February 10, 1983 and contains conditions for discharge of mixtures containing oil and also requirements applicable to the construction and equipment of tankers larger than 150 GRT and other ships larger than 400 GRT. And Annex 2 is a regulation for the control of pollution by noxious liquid substances in bulk. The main principle of Annex 2 is to dilute cargo residues in seawater to prescribed limits depends on their pollution hazard and facilitate the distribution of discharges by utilizing the wake of the ship. Annex 3 is the prevention of pollution by harmful substance carried by sea in package form. 1992 contains requirements for safe handling of packaged substances that represent a serious risk to the environment as well as guidelines for identification of harmful substances. And Annex 4 contains a set of regulations regarding the discharge of sewage into the sea from ships, including regulation regard to ships, so equipments, and systems for the control of sewage discharge by provision of port reception facilities for sewage and requirements for survey and certification. The Annex 5 is prohibits the discharge of all garbage into the sea except as provided otherwise. For example, Annex 5 totally prohibits the disposal of plastics anywhere in the sea and severely restricts discharges of other garbage from ships into coastal waters and special areas. And Annex 6, first adopted in 1997, limits the main air pollutants contained in the ship exhaust gas, including sulfur oxides and nitrous oxides, and prohibits deliberate emission of ozone depleting substances. Thank you.